Have you ever completely changed your outfit just because someone gave you a slightly weird look? Or, maybe deleted a post because it wasn't getting likes fast enough? Well, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into one of the most fascinating and totally invisible forces driving our everyday behaviors. It's something we all experience, but we literally never talk about where it actually comes from. We're going to unpack the deep psychology and the ancient wiring behind why we so desperately need social approval. Right off the bat, I want you to think about this crazy paradox in your own life. Why is it that a simple passing compliment from a total stranger can absolutely make your entire day, lifting your mood for hours, but a minor, kind of insignificant criticism can echo in your head and haunt you for years? It's wild, right? It's this strange contradiction right at the center of being human, and it leads us straight down a really fascinating psychological rabbit hole. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the illusion of independence. To really get why we react this way, we have to look at the first layer of our behaviors and confront this massive gap between what we want to believe about ourselves and what actually drives us. On one hand, we desperately want to believe we're fiercely independent thinkers. We want to believe our opinions, our career goals, our whole identity are 100% our own. But in reality, what's really driving us quite often is a deep, lifelong desire for approval, acceptance, and belonging. Think about the physical energy of a room. A room full of applause creates absolute euphoria. But a room full of silence? That creates this unbearable, skin-crawling discomfort. No matter how independent we claim to be, we are incredibly vulnerable to the opinions of others. Which brings us to Section 2, the ancient survival wiring. So underneath our carefully crafted sense of individuality lies a huge evolutionary plot twist. This need for social approval isn't some modern character flaw. It's a force so ancient it literally helped shape human civilization itself. I want you to imagine being born 10,000 years ago. There are no cities, no police, no hospitals, and nature is completely unforgiving. In that world, belonging to a small tribe wasn't just a luxury. It was survival. Being accepted meant you had protection and resources. Being rejected, that meant isolation, and isolation almost certainly meant death. The biological stakes were so high that our brains actually process social rejection in the exact same area that processes physical pain. Now compare that to the modern day. We live in digital societies where getting excluded from a party doesn't actually carry a physical threat to your life. But here's the crucial takeaway. Being accepted still feels wonderfully warm and safe, and being rejected still feels acutely, physically dangerous. The modern world around us has completely transformed, but our ancient, deeply ingrained nervous system wiring remains exactly the same. Moving on to Section 3, the invisible audience. This perfectly explains how this ancient wiring plays out today. We are constantly performing for an invisible audience. You know how your brain goes into full panic mode if you miss out on a social gathering or get a weird look from a coworker? It's acting like it's a life or death threat in the wilderness. This is what we call social self-awareness. It's our biological mechanism for imagining how reality looks through other people's eyes. And it operates as this ancient survival tool to make sure we don't get kicked out of the tribe. This brilliantly illustrates why you might lie awake at 2 in the morning, agonizing over that time you waved at someone who wasn't actually waving at you. Everyone else completely forgot about it, but your brain is still scanning for threats to your social standing because it genuinely believes your life depends on it. Next up, Section 4, the approval economy. Now, take that hypersensitive survival wiring and drop it right into the 21st century. For the very first time in human history, social acceptance is something measurable and trackable. Just look at these modern metrics of validation: likes, shares, views, followers, replies. Every single notification on your phone acts as a miniature social signal. And here is the absolutely wild part. These tiny digital blips trigger the exact same deep reward systems in your brain that were once reserved for real-world tribal protection. When you get a genuine compliment or a bunch of likes on a post, you feel this hit of warmth and security. Your brain is literally interpreting that data as good news, telling you, okay, my social belonging is secure. But there's a massive catch here. Millions. Human evolution meticulously prepared our nervous systems to handle the opinions of a tribe of maybe a few dozen people. But today, modern technology exposes us to an invisible audience of thousands or even millions. To put that into perspective, we've taken our profound ancient need for reassurance and turned it into a massive global business model. Entire digital ecosystems are now built entirely around capturing your attention and rewarding that exact ancient appetite. Let's look at the devastating flip side of this in Section 5, the pain of rejection. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the fragile prison we create for ourselves when our emotional stability relies entirely on public opinion. We can call it the approval trap, because if approval feels like survival and security, then social pain leaves incredibly deep, long-lasting psychological footprints. Look at how this breaks down. Praise creates confidence, sure, but mere silence, just the absence of praise, creates intense anxiety, and criticism actively destroys your confidence. Life simply turns into this exhausting, constant negotiation with public opinion. And since no amount of digital approval permanently satisfies that ancient need, the craving just keeps coming back.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 6, the search for belonging.
So let's just strip all of it away for a second. Take away the digital metrics, the follower counts, the perfect images we project, and the daily anxieties. What is actually left? What is the fundamental, vulnerable emotional truth beneath all human interaction? It's simply the search for belonging. When we feel excluded, when a friendship fades, or when we get overlooked, the mind doesn't just react to the event, it panics. And it asks, am I enough? It asks, do I matter? And I really want to pause and emphasize here, this fear, this questioning, it is absolutely not about being vain or self-obsessed. It is simply your mind responding to a perceived threat to connection itself. And finally, underneath every achievement, every carefully crafted image, and every career choice, we are constantly trying to answer this one fundamental, ancient question. Do I belong? This whole desire for approval isn't about popularity. It's a desire to know that we are not alone. Which leaves us with this profound realization. Next time you catch yourself constantly checking your phone or molding your opinions to fit in or agonizing over some perceived judgment, give yourself a break. Have some compassion for yourself. You are just trying to feel safe. Your modern anxieties are simply an ancient, deeply human search for safety and connection. So as you go about your day and inevitably feel the heavy pull of other people's opinions, ask yourself this. Are you actually in danger? Or is your ancient brain just searching for its tribe?